This episode of the Sensibly Cynical podcast is sponsored by SC Graphics. This company is incredible. They focus on creating, collaborating, and growing with every new project, including the actual Sensibly Cynical logo. My boy at Seth CGC hooked me up with this incredible logo. I am so excited to work with him going forward. But for now, make sure you check out his website, scgraphics.co. What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Sensibly Cynical podcast. My name, of course, is Sean. Today's guest is Emma G. She is a singer, songwriter, artivist, author, and transformational youth coach. She is incredible. She's out of the DC area by way of New Zealand. Incredible person, down to earth, hilarious. This was a fantastic interview via Zoom. She was nice enough to join me after one of her events. And here it is, my interview with Emma G. Okay, everybody, I am so excited to bring on tonight's guest. She is a singer, songwriter, author, and transformational youth coach, the great Emma G. What's going on?
Thank you, man. It's been a day. It's been this is the curse of COVID, I think. I started front-loading my weeks super much, and so I've just finished a political music event here in Washington, D.C. to, raise awareness for how powerful music can be, because that it is, right?
Right.
Now more than ever, especially, I feel that, the power of music is just so important for the world. So it's a great day. It's great to see you. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so talk about how you got into the music industry.
Dude, okay, so the music industry, oh gosh, I was born singing, dancing, and playing drums. I swear to goodness. I was born with a health condition called hydrocephalus, which means I had my first brain surgery at the age of 4 months, and I've had 10 brain surgeries since, as well as 24 surgeries in total. So when you're a child, when you've experienced that much crap, I realized pretty quickly that I was always an outsider, and it was music that I turned to help me find my voice and find my place in the world. And
then the songwriting just came on.
Absolutely. I wrote my song when I was 5 years old, a song called School is Cool.
Well, I mean...
But I wrote and recorded my first song at the age of 10, and that was a song about environmental awareness, about poverty, about social injustice, and making the world a better place through action, positive action. So, yeah, music has always been my thing.
And so where are you from originally?
Originally from New Zealand.
Okay.
A small town called Raglan, which is on the west coast of the North Island. But I've been living and breathing and doing my thing in DC since late 2015.
We talked about the music. Now, was it hard to get connections? How did you get connections to, put out stuff?
You mean here in the States?
Yeah, like you came over from New Zealand, and how was that transition?
Well, honestly, the connections weren't the issue. I think the biggest issue for me living in the States, or moving to the States rather, was getting acclimated to the culture, the difference in culture, because the entirety of New Zealand's pretty standard when it comes to how we function as human beings. However, you travel from state to state here in the States, and everything is different. Wisconsin's very different to Iowa. Iowa's very different to Los Angeles. Los Angeles is very different to Atlanta.
Right.
Atlanta's very different to Nashville, so on and so forth. So getting acclimated culturally has been a fun experiment. I think the biggest thing when it came to building connections, however, was, just leaning into the want to be as authentic as possible. And honestly, it was through street performance that I made a lot of my connections.
Really? So talk about that. experience?
Well, I mean, when I moved here to DC, I recognized how creative and also how divided the city is. And so, you get these really interesting characters going to work at the State Department every day who were just like super miserable and didn't really know who they were or didn't really have any light in their lives type thing. So my entire job was to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and sing for these people on their way to work to try and give them a piece of hope, a piece of sunshine, a piece of happiness. And it was through that I was put in touch with the Kennedy Center and did my first performance at the Kennedy Center and got the opportunity to perform the 4th of July Parade and the Cherry Blossom Festival Parade and, tour the country several times. And then, it was through street performance that I got commissioned to write my first song, which ended up on a film that was nominated for an Academy Award. Like,
really?
Magical things happen when you are in alignment and trying to do your best to bring love to the world,
I hear you. So how many actual singles have you released?
As a solo artist, gosh, I think I'm up to maybe 17, 18.
Wow. And then you're part of groups?
No, I used to be part of a band back in New Zealand called Static Era. So that was, 6 years ago. But so I mean, all up, I've released 26 singles.
Wow, that's impressive. Now, what's the one you're most proud of? Was there one that kind of was like sticks out more than the other ones? I know it's a loaded question.
I don't even know where I could begin with that. Okay, so I think probably the first most impactful song that I've released was Superhero, which was written in Colorado after a conversation at a tattoo parlor where I was getting a tattoo done. The conversation ended up talking about racial inequality in the States.
Mm-hmm.
And me being a black appearing person, not from this country,
right,
and not black American, I'm, Fijian, Iranian, Norwegian, American, Kiwi, white American, in fact. My experiences in this country have been very different. I look at this as more of like a social studies piece living here, in many ways. So as I'm having this conversation in Colorado, I ended up writing this song called Superhero, which is all about empowering everyday Americans like you and me to choose love and compassion over racism and bigotry. And the impact that song has had on my audience and on the country, believe it or not, has been incredible. So I think that'll be one of the most that I've been proud of.
Okay, well that's one of the many highlights of Emma G. I got it. Talk about some other milestones like in your career. I know you said you have an extensive career. Is there anything else that you're like super stands out from what you've accomplished?
I think one of the most amazing experiences I had was actually when I released my first single, King for a Day. I just finished recording it with Flightboy Music in Baltimore and flew out to Los Angeles to, hang out with this dude that I've been, flirting with and dating and whatever. He's in Los Angeles. He ditched me and left me stranded in the middle of like South Central. I found my way to Venice Beach and ended up couch surfing or Airbnb-ing with a couple who happened to make music videos.
Wow.
So we ended up filming a music video for King for a Day. I, without a release plan, decided to release it onto YouTube the next day, see what happened, and within 24 hours, I was on a plane back to DC to open for Dave Chappelle.
Wow.
Yeah. There's been some weird instances in my career that I'm just like, I don't even know what the hell just happened.
Well, I mean, I don't know personally, but I've heard like from people, in the entertainment industry that Dave's really like a chill guy.
Very.
Yeah.
Super sweet, super like, just one of the guys.
Yeah. Who are your inspirations musically and I guess in the entertainment industry overall?
So I grew up listening to a very broad range of music when I was a child. Everything from Miles Davis through to Iron Maiden, through to the Spice Girls, through to Enya and Enigma. I think nowadays I can probably credit a lot of my flavor, a lot of my sound to the likes of Alanis Morissette, Pink, Natalie Merchant, a little bit of Metallica, Evanescence, with a little bit of, sassiness of Lady Gaga.
I get some Lady Gaga vibes from you. You have some extravagance to you that it just radiates through the Zoom call, Emma G.
I'll take that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, not a bad person to be to be compared to.
No, I think she's incredible. She's, the epitome of a hardworking woman who just isn't apologetic for anything that she does, and I think that's what we need now. In fact, being Women's History Month, I think it's a really beautiful time to look at it and see how the trend of feminism and empowering one another have really changed and developed over the years. It started with Billie Holiday and Sister Rosetta Tharpe, and it's now, we're seeing it through the likes of Grace Jones and to Lady Gaga and to Pink, and I'm hoping to exemplify those same qualities.
Right, Women's History Month. Yeah, it's huge. I mean, down the line, especially in the last century, it's just, you can just read them off a book. We got Oprah. I mean, the list goes on. Janet Jackson, Whitney Houston, God rest her soul. I mean, you got legends that are just, that pioneered kind of the entertainment industry overall.
I'm hoping that I can leave a legacy as powerful. Maybe one day.
Well, talk about this book you have. It's My Life, My Songs, My Healing Life Stories, right?
Yep. So it's a book that I decided to write back in November, actually. I'm one of those people that when I decide that I want to do something, I'm just like, fuck it, I'm going to do it, So I decided to write a book. My friend snapped me back from New Zealand and said, hey, Emma, most people have not lived nearly a life as full as yours. And I replied back to him saying, it's almost like every song was a snapshot of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Or a chapter of my life. And he's like, that's a great book. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I wrote the book in 21 days. It is a book that just highlights the songs that I've written, but also the lessons I've learned as a result of writing this book. The thing about music, it's powerful. We all have those songs we listened to in high school that, dug us out of the grave when we were feeling depressed or overwhelmed or brokenhearted. And I chose to not just listen to the likes of Metallica and Korn and Evanescence. I chose to also write my own music. And so, it's 26 chapters of my songs talking about how each song served me, saved me, and ultimately made me a happier person. I'm now working my second book, and I'm also in the middle of working on my film, which is based on the Write a Song a Day challenge that I did last month. Sorry.
Yeah, so it says turning life stories into songs. That's just genius. That's just genius. How's marketing going through the pandemic?
Weird.
Yeah.
I'm currently banned from Facebook advertising because of an anti-racism post.
Oh well.
We're rolling with the punches. We're smiling through the chaos.
When was the release date?
Of the book?
Yeah.
In December.
Yeah. So how to do is doing okay? Just okay?
I'm getting some good reviews from it. I think it's important to recognize and realize that things like books and albums and music videos, that's not the thing that makes money, right? It's the things, it's a business card. The book is a business card for me.
I mean, you make a good point.
Right? So, in the face of COVID, I've now expanded my business to coach young people, to teach young people how to channel their stories and traumas through songwriting. So the book is literally just a lead on for that.
Yeah, talk about being a transformational youth coach. How has that been, and what's that about, like, overall, your experience?
It's incredible. I work with some amazing young people who, have such powerful ideas and thoughts and struggles that, my other love is youth work. I was an award-winning youth worker with the YMCA back in New Zealand. And, this is my opportunity to help young people find their voice, step into their power, and use music as their way of turning their struggles into song as well. So it's a phenomenal kind of niche market that I really enjoy. Yeah.
You got any fun stories coming over from New Zealand to the States? Any fun stories or good stories?
I don't know. I think possibly the funniest has been around, like, again, learning the culture. You know, being a black and hearing person in America is super fun. As I learn more about how black culture is and how I can choose to fit into it or choose not to. And I think my biggest sort of what the truck kind of moment just around, like, how differently, it's going to sound weird, how differently black men treat me in America compared to every Kiwi guy I've ever dated.
Really?
You know? Seriously, like, here, doors get opened, you have to fight for the bill, like, whereas in New Zealand, it's like, you open your own damn door.
Well, yeah.
You go Dutch, and, like, the dating cultures are very different. If I'm not singing or writing or doing something for my business, I'm working out or I'm hanging out with my partner or my housemate or my cat.
Cat? I want a cat. What kind of cat should I get, Emma?
She's a calico. You should just get one that loves you. Cats are just the best. And she was my quarantine cat that I'm just never going to get rid of. And, cheers me up when I'm feeling down. So, that's good.
What kind of music do you got coming up? You going to release some new stuff?
You know I am. So, coming up, I have a new song coming out in April called Songbird. It is a song that I wrote for my partner. And after that, about the same time, not long after that, I will be releasing the film, my new film called, Born in Crisis, where I turned my Write a Song a Day challenge into a film and an album, and will be, translating onto screen the powerful relationship between our mental health, physical health, spiritual health, and emotional health.
Nice. Very impressive. I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Thank you.
All right. So where can people find you?
I'm Emma G Music on everything, or emmagmusic.com.
Well, Emma G, I appreciate you coming on the Sensibly Cynical podcast. I'm glad that we could connect.
Thank you so much for having me, man. It's so good to finally meet you, and I really appreciate the support and love.
All right. Have a good one.
You too, love.
All right. Bye. All right. Once again, I would like to thank Emma G for coming on the podcast today. Make sure you check out my boy Seth on Instagram at SethCGC. There you'll find his link tree with links to his Amazon, Etsy, Teespring, and Redbubble. That's it for this episode of the Sensibly Cynical podcast. Please check us out on Twitter at Cynical Sensibly, Instagram Sensibly Cynical Pod, and you can check out our Facebook group. Also, if you could please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, I would be highly, highly appreciative. Please stay safe, mask up, and take care.